How are you doing today, Stephanie?
I'm doing good. But yeah.
Doing okay. The weather is, I always complain every day about the weather. Because we had that nice weather. What was it, like a few days ago or even last week? And now it's like a blizzard. And even like today, so my boss, he works at USD, but he lives in Sioux City. And we heard about, the blizzard warning and everything. And then I check, and so far here in Vermillion, it's not even, I haven't seen any snow. But I looked on Facebook, and in Sioux City, they actually got hit by the blizzard, and it's like really, really bad. So I guess he's home and I'm in the office by myself. So, that's it. But what about you?
Good. I mean, I'm glad Vermillion didn't get hit with the blizzard, part of the blizzard at least. So I always joke with my husband that there's like a Vermillion bubble, because sometimes like Sioux Falls will get snow and then like we don't. Maybe some kind of buffering effect with the river valley.
Yeah, that's what someone told me about that. They said the same thing about, if you could correct me, they said something about that river. It kind of blocks, I guess, something like that. Someone even told me that it also helps with tornadoes. I don't know how all that stuff works, but
yeah, I don't know if it's true that my husband says tornadoes don't cross rivers, so we're fine. But I think that's more of like an old farmer joke.
Yeah, because I haven't seen any tornadoes. I know a few tornadoes hit back home where I'm from in Texas, and I have like kind of like three fears a little bit. So tornadoes scare me a lot. I don't like electricity, like lightning, thunderstorms. I get so scared. I actually get scared. And also, if I'm in the middle of the ocean, like just super, super deep water by myself, I'm scared. Like I've seen the movie Jaws, and I don't like that stuff. And what was it? I think it was it Sunday, or there was kind of like a thunderstorm a few days ago, something like that. And I left my headphones, and I think my wife left something in the truck, and she said, "Hey, can you go grab it?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll go grab it." And it's starting to rain a bit. I'm like, "I'll just put my jacket on." And right when I'm out, boom, there's a bunch of lightning, and I start screaming, and I head inside, and she starts laughing at me. I'm like, "What?" And then she says, "You're scared." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm scared. What if I get shocked?" I've seen it. So that's just me.
And I do have a fun lightning story. I'm a wildlife biologist, and so a lot of people I know have been out in the middle of nowhere during lightning storms, and one person, they had run to their work vehicle because a lightning storm was coming, and the vehicle was hit by lightning. And they're okay, luckily. But she said for the next year after that, she just was like really lucky. Like if there was like one more like piece of chocolate cake at the cafeteria, like she would get it, the last chocolate cake piece, like little things like that, not like winning the lottery.
Oh, she gets she gets lucky.
So she called it lightning luck.
You know who's very lucky? My grandma is. I don't know what kind of luck she has, but this was like, I'm telling you, years ago. So she won I want to say it was 2 trucks, but maybe it was just one. She won that in some drawing. She won a truck, and it was like a Chevy, I don't know, something silver. It was one of those smaller trucks, though. And then she also won like $5,000 or $6,000. And then she's very lucky at the casino, and I don't know if she played bingo. But I know also one time we bought her like a little, what do you call it, scratch off stuff, just for like a little thing. And I think she won like 100, like she won like 50 or $100. So we always tell her, "Hey, why don't you play like the lottery, like the big ones?" She's never done it. I don't have that much luck. That's just me. But I was gonna ask, because that's what I always ask. Like, what do you do? So you say you're a wildlife biologist.
Yeah, I'm currently getting my PhD at USD. I'm work with birds, so I'm an ornithologist as well.
So David Swanson?
Yeah, he's my advisor.
Oh, snap. Okay, yeah. I remember I had him on, and it's because he goes to the same church, and it was kind of cool because we were talking about, I guess, like different, like the birds, but also the evolutionary stuff like that. It was, I thought it was interesting on my side. But what made you want to become or be a wildlife biologist?
I wanted to work with animals, and I think Like I went through all the different sort of jobs at one point in time. I looked at veterinary school for a while, and I wanted to work with more like wild animals. So I looked at like wildlife rehabilitation, like zoos, and then I kind of stumbled upon more like research and working with wild animals in their habitat, and that's like wildlife biology.
Why'd you pick the birds?
It's more, I'm, definitely trained to work with all kinds of animals. With birds, they're a good indicator species for the environment, and they're easier to study. I've known people who work with mountain lions, and like they might work with mountain lions for like 2 or 3 years and never actually see one.
Really?
Yeah. You'd have camera traps so you're getting pictures, or hair snares where you're getting like little bits of hair. But they like literally will go to work every day. Their job is mountain lion biologist, and they haven't like seen one.
Oh.
So like with birds, if I'm studying them, like you just see them all the time. They're easy to identify by species just by looking at them usually, or listening to them.
Do you ever get to like work with actually with the birds, or that's not how it works?
There have been research questions that required capturing them and banding them in some of my jobs. And that's also a skill. So once you learn how to do that properly, it's something like if you need to look for a job, you have it on your resume. So you're likely to get another job.
Did you always want to become a wildlife biologist since you were a kid, or how did that come around?
I think I always enjoyed working with animals, and I want to work with animals. So some jobs that you think are working with animals are actually working with people more. You find out. I think a lot of people go into wildlife realize that even though you're working with wild animals, technically it's also a component of that is working with people, because you don't have wild animals unless people want them.
I get it. And one time, so when I was a kid, I actually do remember, you actually brought it up. One of the things I wanted to be as one of the careers I wanted to do, or, want to be besides a Pokemon trainer, was I wanted to, what do you call them? Just the people that work in the zookeeper or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember I wanted to do that because I would watch a lot of the Crocodile Hunter, Steve Irwin. I would watch that all the time. And then actually, I'm gonna tell you a little funny story. So when he died, when was it like? This was in the early 2000s from from a stingray or something. Yeah, I think that was like one of the first time I ever cried for a celebrity. I remember I was a kid and I heard about the news, and then I went to sleep and I started crying. I was, oh man, because I used to watch him all the time. And so that's what I always thought that, becoming like those type of people or wildlife biologists or stuff like that, you get to work like always with animals. And then until I took, in college, I took what's that class called? Zoology? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I took that class, and the first thing our professor said, his name was Corey something, but he said that, hey, if you guys expect this class to be, working with all these animals and that, no, it's mostly, just zoology and that part. A lot of it's with the smaller, I don't know what he said, something about like worms and this and that. It's super. I thought it was gonna be, oh snap, we're gonna learn about lions and all that stuff, but no, it wasn't like that. But it was kind of cool. I think they did mostly reptiles, something like that. But what did you study at?
I studied at Humboldt State University. So my undergraduate degree is wildlife biology. It's shortened, but it was vertebrate, ecology, and conservation. So zoology, like you said, it works with a lot of worms and stuff. But I had additional classes that worked with vertebrae, so larger animals. I had a mammalogy class. I had an ornithology class, things like that. So it kind of brought us away from the zoology specimens.
Okay. Is there a goal that you want to do? How come you want to do your PhD? Do you want to become a professor or something?
Just to continue doing research would be nice.
Okay. Is there a specific type of research you want to do? What's the main what do you want to do?
I just like answering questions and facilitating research and hoping that goes in the right direction to improve management, improve species. So, but that aspect of it is very human driven. Like, I feel like a lot of scientists, maybe we're good at like research things and writing papers, but like explaining to people like why it's important and why it should be like properly funded and why you should care or how things actually work is really difficult. Maybe we're not always well prepared for that aspect of it, but it kind of just disconnects things if we find all the really good answers, but like no one will listen to us or wants to, do things in a way that's going to get the end result that everybody wants.
Yeah, it's the research side. So right now I work in. I've said it so many times. So right now I work at USD, but I work at the med school, and it's mostly just right now administration stuff. But before that, I worked in a lab at the med school, and that stuff is I learned a lot. It's great, but also the funding. Because what I thought was when I always thought, like for example, these professors or scientists. Like in the movies, I was like, oh snap, they probably got those giant, huge labs and they're getting like millions and millions and millions. And no, it's, a lot of it you have to get funding and it's hard to get funding and people don't know about that. They don't know about that aspect.
Yeah, we stretch every dollar. I mean, a lot of equipment is like duct taped up together. It doesn't look pristine. Usually like even though you could probably do things with like drones and stuff like that, it's like, well, if it's cheaper just to have an intern do it, like it's just like it's at that point, like for some things it's like you get the data either way. So
yeah, I think one of the cool things though, since the funding aspect, since you can't just spend anything on whatever you want, you got to get a little bit what's that word? Innovation, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know it happens a lot with, the only thing I know is from like the med school stuff. Like I thought, one thing I didn't know, like some of the chemicals that we used, you could technically buy them, but our professor, and I'm not saying anything bad about him, he's like, no, we'll just make them because it's cheaper. And it's actually kind of cool because now you actually make the chemical. So there's a lot of some like chemistry stuff, but a lot of it, like, I don't know if it was just our lab that did it. Cause I know, when we had a postdoc, his name is Mark. I think I think in his lab in Iowa State or something like that, they would either buy the chemicals or, for example, Western Blots, they would buy the stuff. They buy like the gels and this and that, but actually we would make them. And I was, oh snap, that's actually kind of cool. Well, on my part, but now I understand, especially with these students when I worked with them. Man, they like y'all guys. Anyone that does grad school, I didn't know how much work you guys put into it, and it takes a long time. Like I thought does it take 4 years or is it different with y'all?
It's 4 years for wildlife biology. It can take longer because if you're collecting data, there's you only have a short window sometimes. Like for birds, if you're doing breeding season, that's during the summer. And then if you need enough data, you might need multiple years. You can have 1 year where the weather's off or something, and it's not going to tell you everything. I mean, I've known some people getting their masters that took 4 years, and it wasn't like they were slow. It was like they needed the 4 years of data collection, for their project. So,
what's your dissertation on?
I worked on a project on the Missouri River looking at early successional cottonwood forests and bird use of it during the breeding season and during spring and fall migration.
What have you found out about that stuff?
It's sort of getting a feel for what species are using the habitat. It's very limited, and in some cases they do vegetation removal for piping plover and least terns. So it's mostly just that there's some species that definitely need that particular habitat type, and it's something to be aware of.
Are you from the area or are you from somewhere else?
I was born and raised in California and Los Angeles, and I think after my undergraduate degree, I came out here in 2011 to do research on it with a job, and I kind of was back and forth in Vermillion and kind of came back around. to it. So,
Oh, snap. So you're from LA.
Yeah.
And then so hold on, I want to backtrack a little bit. So but you came here it was mostly for the school?
in 2011, I came for work.
Mm.
And then as a wildlife biologist, I was like, for a good 10 years, I was moving everywhere and working everywhere. And then when this position came up, I had liked Vermillion and it was a good research topic. So I moved back.
How's the weather? Did you acclimate to it, or what do you think about it?
It takes a bit. Yeah. When I was doing more field work and stuff, I'd get to be here during the summer when it was nice. And then I'd visit family over the winter, like escape it like the birds do. It was a good strategy.
Oh, man.
So,
man. So I've never been to California. It's weird. I do have family there, but most of them are either in Mexico, Texas, or California. It's one of the places that we want to go. I think mostly it's just the weather. Because, man, here I cannot get used to the weather at all. I can't.
It's hard when it changes every day. There's 100-degree like switch all of a sudden. So.
Yeah, I think so I've been here like 4 years. So far, like, for me, it's been kind of constant. Like, for example, the winter, it's been like, throughout the whole winter, it would just be like cold. And then this year, or I guess these, few months, it's the first time I've seen it in a while where it's just, you'll have like 70 degrees. The next day is like 30. I'm like, whoa, snap. So I'm still trying to get used to that, but
yeah, I think they've done some studies too, and like it takes like 2 years for your body to adjust to a different climate. So,
really?
Yeah. So there is like a biological factor to it. It's not just mental.
I'm still waiting on that. I still can't get used to it. My daughter, she got used to it. She's used to she's used to the cold. I think my wife is used to it a little bit. She could get it because she always tells me, why you complain? I cannot get it. And I don't know if it's because I'm more used to the extreme hot weather, the 100. So my wife and my kid, so they're born in Mexico, and in the area where they're from, it's like, if you want to know, it's called Guanajuato. It's like central Mexico. You could find it somewhere. And it's mostly like mountains, valleys. The weather is usually like around 70, 80 degrees. It's very nice. And then where I'm from, summer's just stupidly hot. It's like 100, 110, 100 and I think the highest I remember is like 113. It's stupid weather. And here I think the summers are beautiful. You'll still see me like in a long sleeve. But the weather, like once it drops, I'm going to say like below 60, 50s, I start wearing a jacket. Like I can't get it. And I don't know. I just can't get used to the cold weather. So that's why it surprised me. I'm like, man, you're here and you don't miss the weather over there? Or it's been.
I definitely miss it. It just is nice to like be able to go outside almost any time of the year. Like I have to really force myself if it's cold. And my husband's from North Dakota, so like we have, like you said, I'm used to the heat, and there's like a small window where we're both comfortable, and then like he can just like function in the cold when I can't. Like,
so he's more used to the cold weather. Right?
Yeah, it's extreme. I mean, some of it might be like maybe even his heritage is kind of like Viking blood. But yeah, he'll go ice fishing and he'll just like be steam will be coming off of him.
Oh,
and he
so
like
cool.
Shoves his hand into a hole in the ice to like get the line or get a fish.
Oh, snap.
And it's just like, I'm just like, and he wants me to come. And I'm like, well, if you set up the ice tent and start the heater, I'll sit next to the heater.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something different.
Does he also do any hunting or stuff like that? Like, he knows how to do all that stuff?
Yeah, we both hunt and fish and all kinds of stuff like that. So,
see, that's one thing I appreciate about the people I've talked to. A lot of them, they hunt, they do same thing. They do that ice fishing. I remember that first time I asked, who was it? I think it was Nathan. I asked him what he was going to do for some weekend, and he said ice fishing. I was like, what's ice fishing? And he's like, yeah, you go. I think they're either, I don't know if they were going to go to Yankton or they're going somewhere, but yeah, they say, yeah, the lake is frozen and you just go on there. And I'm like, no, that seems super dangerous. But he says, no, it gets like so thick that there are people that just drive their cars or trucks, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, nah, I can't do that. I'm if I'm scared of like being in the ocean, I'm really scared if it's falling through some ice and then not getting, I don't know, or me getting trapped. But that's just me. So, but I guess the main reason why I got you on is you want to talk about the Vermillion Community Garden, right?
Yeah. Leading off of like hunting and foraging, I recently, well, just last year, the Vermillion Community Garden's a nonprofit, and we have one location in town that we facilitate people renting plots or spaces and growing their own food. And it's expanded to, we also have a plot that everyone can work on and grow food for the food pantry. We have a space that's like a communal herb garden. And then just last year, we started a compost pile for the garden for soil amendments.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you guys located at? Like, where's those plots? I want to say, I think I know where it is. Is it behind the church or not?
Yeah, it's behind the church on Main. And it's really nice because they donate the land and the water. And then we do all the like organizing and we get extra money to like build things and take care of the site. And that's usually how it is with community gardens. Either we have to kind of rely on, if a private individual owns a lot and maybe they don't want to pay to like mow it and upkeep it, they can we can, coordinate with them to have a community garden. If there's green space that the city owns, if people communicate with them and want a community garden, like we're a nonprofit that can help raise money and organize people. Churches are usually very welcoming to that aspect as well because it helps people, just grow their own food. And community gardens were sort of, I think they got more in fashion in World War II or just after that to fight inflation. So I feel like that's come back around, especially right now where like prices of things have jumped up, but it's just a lot cheaper if you have a space and grow at least some of your vegetables. And coming from California, like I hate to explain this to people, but it's just like, yeah, vegetables and fruit taste better there because it's not shipped as far.
Yeah.
So like I found it shocking moving here. You go to there's just Walmart or Hy-Vee for options really. And one time I was just looking for lettuce and it was sort of moldy in both stores. And I'm sure that's just shipping. I mean, it was like going to come in tomorrow. And like if you grow just some lettuce, which is super easy, and harvest it, like I've had it just last for like over 2 weeks in my fridge because it's fresh, because the stuff in the store has probably been on the road for at least a week or a week and a half before it gets on the shelf here. So it's just, it's different to grow it, and harvest it from your own garden.
What do you like growing?
Well, definitely lettuce. Greens, like
I've never done that.
Yeah, and because it's easy and stuff like that. But I try to get varieties that aren't in the grocery stores here. I'm used to more of a variety of vegetables and trying new things. Like I don't think I used to eat eggplant until we got some garden eggplant, and then it was sort of like learning how to use it. And like using the whole parts of the vegetable. There's some varieties where you can use the greens for things, and making like stock as sort of a hobby too, with all the odds and ends of the vegetables. And that got worse, and then I started canning tomatoes. Like I think we don't even buy any tomatoes. We have them all canned from last year because we had a good harvest.
Oh man,
and stuff like that.
That's cool. 2 years ago, we started. Was it 2 years? Yeah, 2 years ago. A friend of ours, they have an acre, and they were doing the same thing, kind of like a little for their friends. They say, hey, if anyone wants to use this, plot, whatever. So we went over there and we used a lot. Other people didn't. They started and they never took care of their stuff, so it started dying. But me and Myra, we started. I think that first year we planted just the basic stuff. So like we tried the corn and tomatoes, a bunch of tomatoes. There's a bunch of tomatoes. And then this one I hate it now because it just grows so fast. Zucchini. That thing is insane. Like it just grows, and apparently everyone has it. And then I think we did a little bit of the cucumber, but that stuff was awesome. One thing though, if you don't know, so on the corn, I guess everyone knows, they probably know because they're farmers here. You ever heard about that corn smut? Corn smut?
Yeah, it's like a delicacy in somewhat cooking.
Yeah, so in Mexico we call it huitlacoche, and that's something. It's the same thing. It's a fungus, mushroom, whatever you call it. And that stuff, I'm telling you, that stuff tastes good in tacos. So when I saw it growing, I got excited. And then we actually cut it and then we use it. If people have never tried it, well, it gets super hard. It's like almost impossible to find it here. But yeah, that stuff is amazing, especially when they do it in Mexico. I think they do with quesadilla or something.
Mm-hmm.
But so last year I was like hoping, same thing. I think did we do corn? I think we did corn, and I was just hoping that it would get infected. But no, apparently the corn was fine. But I was disappointed. I was like, oh man, because I actually wanted it, and the same thing. I was telling my friends about it, and they're like, corn smut, because I didn't know it was called corn smut. I thought it was just called huitlacoche. And they're like, yeah, that stuff, they just throw it out. I'm like, no, you could eat it. Well, you could eat anything. But it's one of those things I got so excited about.
Yeah, I think the community garden's a great space because we get a lot of international students through USD. And because most people in town rent, it's like they have that culture and that history of like in their home country, you have a garden, and so they're super excited that there's a space. And so not only are you like gardening next to other people, you're learning like what they like grow and what's like normal to grow for them. Like I started growing the tomatillos, the little green. Yeah, because I like salsa and stuff, and like I just really couldn't find them in the market sometimes. They'd be really like moldy. And then like other gardeners we have, they were growing these really cool peppers, like these Chinese peppers. So like that communal aspect of it is just something that's completely different experience than just growing some vegetables at home too. And like learning what else is out there and trying it, and sort of sharing in that knowledge and stuff too. So, I mean, it's interesting to just like rediscover all these different things about food and what you can grow and what other people eat and how they eat it. Some of the other gardeners coming from other countries, they were excited. They wanted to eat. They're growing pumpkins to eat. And it's like, it's crazy. It's very maybe American or Midwest where it's like, you don't eat pumpkins. You just like make funny faces on them and then chuck them. Like, we even started, when we started the compost pile, we were collecting jack-o'-lanterns to compost last fall when everyone was like done with them. And people were giving us like entire whole pumpkins that they were just like, yeah, we're done. It was on our porch. Like, it's great to compost them. But some people, had wanted them to eat. I collected the seeds because if you have too many pumpkin seeds in a compost pile, they like grow. Sometimes they're just so big. But we roast them and eat them anyways. So it's interesting how much you can, learn about other people and other cultures, like interacting in this way too. So
I didn't know you could eat. I know you could eat, like, for example, what do they call them? It's I forgot what they're called, like a smaller pumpkin for pumpkin pies. But you can eat like a regular pumpkin.
Yeah, they can be a little bit more like milly or not as sweet. Definitely like the best tasting ones are the pie pumpkins. But if you also are just like gonna use them for decorating, you can get a small pie pumpkin, enjoy the appearance of it and then still like eat it and, roast the seeds and you make a puree or something out of it and you can put it in a lot of things. So I started putting it in like chilies, a cup of it, or like soups and things like that. So you can even put it in like pasta sauce if you're trying to like up your like vegetables, but like sneak it in there so the kids can't pick it out, So, but yeah, and they make a lot. My husband jokes I'm cutting up a pumpkin. He's like, "Are you butchering pumpkins?" Because it's a whole like process, like because they're big, like so.
When does the community garden start?
We like we're already filling up. We have like a list, so we're hoping that more people will contact us. And not only do we want to get a list and fill the plots, for the garden, we usually fill them and have a short wait list of people. Like, so if someone backs out, or gets busy, someone can take over a plot as well. But we understand that people don't know we exist. Like, I even seen on Facebook, someone was like, is there a community garden? And a bunch of people were like, no, there's no community garden in town. And it's like, wait, we exist. So we want to make sure everyone knows that we're available.
Okay.
And, so that they can work with us. And then if you are interested, to contact us, even if we fill up, we'll have a better idea of, how many people might be interested in town and community gardening if we're going to try to find like more spaces. So because it's kind of hard to plan if some years, like a lot of people want to garden, and then other years no one knows about us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really have a good idea of how many people in Vermillion would be interested. So as an organization, so we can grow in that direction.
No, that's great. Because 2 years ago, I didn't know about it until last year. Same thing, it was all on Facebook. I found the community garden, but we didn't need to go because we were doing it with our, the plot of our friends. And then this year, they moved. So I was like, well, what are we going to do? And then I was looking a little bit into it, but it was in the winter, so I didn't check anything. But then you guys reached out. So how you mentioned that? So it's a nonprofit. Do you guys also get like donations or anything for like equipment? How does that work?
We've been. So when I joined the garden board and became president, we had like some, the board's all volunteer. We had a couple people get busy and drop out. So we were down to just like 3 board members. So last year we were just sort of playing catch up with things, trying to manage the garden and stuff like that. We had an amazing president who he moved away and was still acting as president, doing the work remotely for almost a year.
Oh, that's so cool.
So we definitely just not even need gardeners. Anyone who's interested in it, even if you garden at home, you don't need the space. If you want to be involved, that would be excellent. But
do you guys, so I know if someone could get you more land, would you guys be up to that?
Yeah, definitely.
Does it have to be in town? Well, not like, so I'm going to throw this out and I just don't know yet. I have a weird situation going on. So we're moving into I won't explain too much. We're moving in, and also we have an acre lot, and it's really big. And you just mentioned that if you guys were willing, would it be fine if, let's say, hey, well, you guys could use that, I don't know, half of that lot or a third. Would you guys be okay with that? Or do I have to go through some steps?
Yeah, we just would go through the board and kind of decide on it, because we're volunteers. But that's exactly what organizations like community gardens do. Like a bigger community garden, like one in Sioux Falls. I recently talked to them to kind of find out the process. So if someone had some space that was available, like wanted to donate, the use of the land, sometimes you just like make a handshake, you know, but we could also do an MOA. So that's just sort of like a little written agreement for like, agreeing to use it. And then usually the big thing is water. So like if there's a hose hookup, if you're allowing it, if you're going to also donate the cost of water, or is that something we have to do? Because it's sort of hard. It could vary every month, like if there's a drought. So we'd have to get like all that worked out.
Okay.
But yeah, and then we try to organize volunteers to like manage it, to follow whatever rules. Like if you're like, I don't want it too messy or too many weeds, or something like that. So the community would sort of self-regulate that way, or a board member would volunteer to like look over things,
okay,
and assign plots. At our site, we have a community tool shed. So that's one thing, like I was hoping to maybe get donations, because most of the money from the plot fees that we have goes to buying tools. Every so year, there's a couple of them just break handles. They're old. And we could buy new ones, but if people had extra tools, that they didn't use, or were willing to donate, like that would be great, because we try to keep everything very, very affordable. I think the biggest plots we have are 10 by 10. We had to increase our prices slightly to $20 for a plot that size. But that's it for the whole year.
Oh, it's like just $20 for the year?
Yep, that's it. And
That's
there's
not bad.
there's
That's
a
pretty good.
free seed library, or the seed library here. So, and the tools are free and the water's free, at least at the church site we have. So it aside from the commitment,
Yeah.
and then the benefit of growing stuff together too is like if you're going on vacation for a week, usually like you'd have to have someone come by and like maybe water your plants or something, or you come home and everything's dead. But if you're at a community garden, you can work with other people, your neighbors there, like, oh, I'm going to be gone. Can you water my plot? So you have that help, because that's usually a major thing. We have volunteer master gardeners to ask gardening questions. You're like, oh, something ate my broccoli. What do I do? Like we have someone on sort of standby. You just like email them and they'll be like, oh, it's this pest and this is what you do to take care of it. And we do have 2 smaller, like wheelchair accessible plots. And we're getting some raised gardens. So, it's still on dirt. So, it's not like fully accessible for maybe like a severe disability. But they're definitely open if you have like arthritis or you can't be on your knees. They function so you can like pull up a chair and still garden. And then we get volunteers in the garden as well. So that's another thing. If, you get behind and it just is so weedy and you're just like, oh God, I don't have 5 hours to weed this. We have a community that can help too. So it's really just like gardening on the next level.
Yeah, no, I think I like it a lot actually, because I like gardening a lot, which is kind of weird because I don't hunt or nothing like that. But man, give me some seeds and I'll pop a bunch of these plants up. Oh, but I need to learn how to hunt. No, but I do like it. I'll be contacting you guys. I don't know if it'll be this year, probably not, but next year. Let me talk to my wife. I have the idea. When I have these ideas, it sounds good in my head, and then when I say it, I sound like an idiot. But I do want to help out, because I'm telling you, like the gardening stuff me and my wife are doing, it was just so fun. Because in my eyes, I'm just blown away by it. But it's probably, I mean, what, humans have been doing it for thousands of years. I'm just so surprised, like, hey, you could just start something and take care of it, and then boom, you got food. Same thing with like that corn. But the thing that surprised me last year, was it last year that we did it or the other year? We planted, same thing. We did tomatillos, and I didn't know. We always buy tomatillos because my wife makes salsa. I didn't know where they came from. I thought they came from like a bush or like a little plant, like the chiles. They were huge. Is that how they are? Did yours?
Yeah, mine got really big. I was impressed by how many like I got from a plant.
Yeah.
The first year I grew them, I did it wrong. I didn't realize you needed more than one plant. And I had bought 2, and like one of them, something ate right at the beginning or it died. And then I had all these flowers and I'm just like, what's going on? What did I do? And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, you need 2 plants at least.
Okay.
So I did 4. And then they all got super big, and there's so many. Still have, I think, a gallon Ziploc bag full of them in my freezer for stews and stuff.
See, I made the mistake because I didn't know. I planted like 10 or 12 of them, and they just started from seeds. So I just put a bunch of them and I had 12 plants, and I didn't know how far apart. So they were, I didn't know they were going to grow that big. I just never seen them. And then boom, we just had, I mean, they're huge. I'm going to say they're like half my size, and they're all over, and which was good because we had a bunch of tomatillos. Usually we get them from Sioux City, and it was kind of cool. I'm like, hey, we don't have to get them in Sioux City. And also it's free. It's ours. So that was cool. And then the other thing that we planted was serranos, because we use those a lot. And we had a bunch of them. So I was happy with that. My wife wants to plant everything, which it's fine. But man, she likes planting. We had cucumbers too. The cucumbers were great. But the zucchini, I'm telling you, man, I got tired of the zucchini. And then I think there's some type of bug that kills it. It just wipes it all out.
It's like a weevil or something.
Yeah, and then my wife got mad at me because she says, look, thanks to you, it died. I'm like, but I didn't kill it. She said, no, but you were wishing it was dead. And I was like, well, yeah, it's just too much. But I like gardening a lot. I like it. I just wish I just don't know when's because we were doing it outside. I don't know when it's the right time to start. I guess wait till the last frost around this area. So I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, they say like I think in the regions like Mother's Day is like when it's safe to plant usually. Like
that's around May, right?
Yeah, it's usually like the first weekend of May. And sometimes it can be a little bit sooner. You can check the 10-day forecast. And I think right now is the time to sort of start seeds inside. I think the master gardeners. Well, you'll probably like play this later, but tomorrow they're doing a free seed starting thing at the library.
Oh, that starts tomorrow on the 20th. Okay.
Yeah. But they'll do events like that. So a lot of people like tomatoes, you kind of really have to start them inside, or buy plants that were in a greenhouse, just because that's how the seasons are here.
When does the season end, or when is not the season? Well, I guess it's the season. Like, is it around September, October, or do you guys just go until whenever?
Yeah, it's like the last frost date. So you can get lucky and have a warm fall. I think this year was quite late. I think until like November, we still had some stuff kind of growing. I think we ended up just like resting the garden and pulling things out just because it was like, even though stuff was like flowering, it's like, man, little pepper plant, that's not going anywhere. Like, you don't have another month. Like, sorry. Like, no, you're still trying, but the cold is coming.
What's the most, I guess, what are the most popular plants people grow around that community garden?
I think tomatoes are definitely popular. They're just sort of easy. I like them because if you want to get into like canning or drying, like because of the acidity, they're just really easy to. They're pretty foolproof. I think a lot of people like green beans. Those are fun too. Like the zucchini, like you said.
Oh,
there's a joke where like in the summer, if you leave your car unlocked during zucchini season, you might come back to it being filled with zucchini. Because like when someone has too much, they're just like giving it away. I've seen giant boxes of zucchini like on street corners with like a free sign. So
see, yeah, I see it all the time. I wish they didn't put zucchini. If they could just put like more chiles or something, I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, I've had to get creative with zucchinis before. Like I'll make a puree and freeze it because I can just like hide it and stuff as well. If one gets too big and it's like a baseball bat size, you can hollow it out and bake it with like Italian sausage and Parmesan cheese and rice.
Someone made her name is Heidi Bennett. She's a coworker of where my wife works. She made zucchini bread, and I tried it first. And I was like, zucchini bread? Like there's actual zucchini in the bread? So yeah, like okay. And I tasted it. I was like, oh. I didn't taste the zucchini, so I'm surprised you could do a lot of stuff with zucchini.
Yeah, I've done you could add a cup of it to like ground beef when you do like tacos, and so if you do ground turkey, which is drier, it adds a lot of moisture to it too.
What's one of the hardest things to plant or to grow that you've seen or your experience?
Let's see. I've tried to grow watermelon, and that's hard. It's a hard thing because we're so far north. Like watermelon's more like a southern crop.
Yeah.
So the best I've gotten is like a little bit bigger than
a
baseball. Yeah. So I don't know if I should like give up. But muskmelon, like that's people grow that out here too. And you can get different varieties for shorter seasons, like smaller watermelons. I just haven't had any luck.
Have you tried cantaloupe?
Yeah, muskmelon is a variety of cantaloupe.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it the green one?
It's also orange.
Oh,
so
okay. I don't know them.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think cantaloupe is a variety of melon, and muskmelon, cantaloupe. A lot of them can still be like orange on the side. It's crazy if you get if you ever look up online or see catalogs, like fruits and vegetables can look a million different ways. Like usually think of eggplant, you might think of like the purple variety. But I think the heirloom variety or an older variety was actually white. And that's why it's called eggplant, because they look like eggs.
Oh, what? Okay, I didn't know that. Did you know? You probably do. So my wife's into like, finding facts about this stuff. She said that watermelon is a berry. Wait, is it a berry? No. Is it a berry? I forgot. Dang, never mind. I forgot my stuff.
I think like tomatoes are berries. So like if you go by like botany terminology, like
because it's a fruit.
Yeah.
And then she also said the chiles or the peppers, they're also a fruit.
Yeah.
So it was weird because when we make salsa, we were thinking, is this technically jam? Because it's a fruit. But would it be a jam or a jelly?
Let's see. Jams or jellies usually have higher sugar content.
Oh, okay. They don't
I
have
think
sugar.
when from the canning definition of them, it's adding like sugar to preserve it. So I guess salsa would be more acidic. So you're not adding like a cup of sugar to it.
Oh, okay. So so jams and jellies is the process. Well, when you add sugar to the
it's preserved by the amount of sugar in it, basically.
So if I made, all right, this is a stupid question. So
you can make a tomato jelly by adding sugar to it, and it's sweet. You can make habanero or like pepper jellies by adding sugar to them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So that's a jelly.
Yeah.
Okay. That is, okay. See, I don't know how to make all these stuff. Canning was a brand new thing until we found a friend that showed us or taught us how to do canning with, it was with tomatoes. I thought you could can anything, but I guess you have to have a certain acidity.
Yeah. Usually for just water bath, like you're just putting it in boiling water, like either like a sugar or salt, just kind of keeps it clean, keeps stuff from growing because it's a high concentration. I think some people, you really get into it, you can pressure can stuff. So like if you wanted to like can some green beans, there's this like technique where it uses like pressure, like a pressure cooker. And you need to have a little bit more know-how about the timing and amount of pressure to apply for those types of things.
Is there a big difference with I know the technique is different, but is it, how would I say it? Is pressure canning better than regular canning, or is it different, or is there a need to? Or?
There's just a need for it if you're canning certain things that like tomatoes are naturally acidic. Mm-hmm. And like another good thing is apples. They have enough sugar in them that you can can them straight up without adding anything to them. So things that aren't acidic or sweet, like green beans, that you would need to pressure can it because it just is, it safely preserves the food in that way.
So my wife makes salsas all the time, and we always wonder, hey, what if we canned them and, I don't know, sell them or something, or give them to our friends? Can you do you have to modify the recipe though?
So I think it's like the USDA has like a canning website. So they'll take a lab, like a chemistry lab, and they'll do a recipe for salsa. And they will take samples of produce, I think a pretty wide variety. And they make sure that as long as you follow those proportions in the recipe, so it might be like so much tomatoes and so much vegetables, that when you can it, it will be acidic enough to be safe. And there's certain recipes that have been certified in a lab like that. So if you're just starting, that's, you can modify those recipes to some degree, but you'll still want that ratio. And then you might even add like some citric acid or something to it as well, depending on the recipe, so that it's acidic enough to can. And then I think, and I've only just sort of looked into this. I'm not I'm just a beginner canner. I can stick to like really safe, simple things. But then if you see people selling stuff at farmer's market or in the store, they have had that acidity test to make sure it's safe.
Oh, okay. So it can't just be same thing like my wife, her recipe. It's because, so maybe we're just different. So when we make salsa, Myra makes her salsa, but we finish it like in a week because we eat it every day.
Yeah.
And it's a salsa. It's the same salsa they use for example, if you go get some tacos, green or red salsa, it's that kind. It's not the tomato where it's like with chips. It's not that. So that's what I was wondering. Like, I guess I can't straight up can that because I have to check to see if it's, I guess, the right type of acidity, something like that.
Yeah. So it's the same as like you'd have a recipe, the formula, you'd get it tested and stuff like that. Okay. If you wanted to like sell it. But an easy way is like you can freeze it too. And then that's fine too. And it keeps without having to worry about that. So,
okay. That's another way.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, but you could, okay. So there's a lab or isn't it who did I check with? Because I checked with that stuff with because sometimes I sell these conchas or pan dulce at the farmer's market, and I was checking with salsa, and they say, yeah, you gotta send like a sample, and they'll check it to make sure so you don't get botulism.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that thing could kill you, and I wouldn't want that. Well, so another thing about the Vermillion Community Garden. So where can people find you guys at? So I know you guys got the Facebook. I'll put the link and everything on there. Where else can they find out? Do you guys got a website or anything? Or how do you guys?
Yeah, we just have the Facebook, and we have an email that you can email us. So even if you don't I think our page is public on Facebook. It's kind of our website, because we're just volunteers. That's another thing. If anybody wanted to get involved, there's, if you want to learn how a small nonprofit works, like the mechanics of it, we just have room for people to do like anything, that you're interested in. Even if you're not interested in gardening, if you like web design, if you're like into businesses and you want to see how stuff runs, if you just want to know how nonprofits work, like if you aspire to maybe like have a nonprofit of your own one day or work for them, it's just like anything. We can expand on projects. It just takes volunteers and people with some drive, and you can make some real changes. But yeah, we barely manage our little Facebook, and I've done some more posts this last year. It was sort of like quiet for a while because our other president was gone. But I'm not trying to like do all these jobs. I'm just trying to like get stuff done. So I'd happily step down and even like have someone else take a turn at the reins if they're interested in these kinds of things too. And participating in it. So
do you guys have a link or anything for like if people wanted to donate or something like that?
On our Facebook, we did have a link. We had an Amazon wish list for items, and like there's suggestions of, like brands or, like shovels with more sturdy handles. But also like if you have a similar item, we can take that for the community shed. Any gardening stuff at all. Like if you just had extra bags of potting soil or wood chips or bricks or anything like that, like we can definitely use, and we can get the volunteers together and do a project with them too, because we're kind of reliant on that.
Yeah. So what would you want to see out of this Vermillion Community Garden to grow? One thing I've seen, have you ever been to Brookings?
Yes.
Yeah, there was it was, I guess, their community garden, and this thing was huge. It was just gigantic, and I was like, "Hey, that'd be kind of cool if Vermillion had something like that." But yeah, same thing. You got to kind of start small, then work your way up. But is there like stuff that you guys want to see happen or future aspects?
For the community garden, I wanted to do some more sort of projects around the garden, so there's like less maintenance with weeds and stuff, just to make it easier on the gardeners. And it'd be nice to keep growing the compost program. If we can manage it, well, it'd be nice to open it up to community members too. So if anyone's interested in just composting and not even gardening, that would be great to get people involved with. We do have that plot that we grow food for the food pantry. We only had one volunteer last year, but we still got like 2.5 or 200 pounds of produce from it. But in the past, they've had up to 500 pounds.
Oh, that's good.
So just getting more people interested in that. Like if you just don't have time to garden, but you want to just do it occasionally, like you can participate in that. I'd like to get more space for people for sure, so that they can have bigger gardens. And it'd be nice to have space. We're small. We're like just this tiny little lot.
Hey,
but like there are other community gardens that will plant like apple trees, like and other fruit-bearing trees, and you can grow them as a community and have those. And so perennials, like we're kind of unique, and other community gardens don't even allow perennials. We try to like let people come back to the same plots so they can grow them. But I would definitely like to have more of those things because they take a little less work in a way, or can produce a lot. And then we could always donate extra to the food pantry. And there are programs that they will donate, like orchards and trees. So like those are sort of my passions. And there are also things that like you can't always start in your own house because you may not have like the space, and or you might move occasionally. But if it's here in the community, it can be here for like a very long time once it gets started, and those types of things. So
one thing I would like to see, I think I might get involved now because I'm telling you, I like this stuff. It's really cool. If you guys see me like, so right now, we're in an apartment, and when it's, spring or summer, people will see me in the apartments, outside. Each unit has like barely anything, and you'll see me with my big, it's these pots. They're black and they're more like what do you call it? They're more foldable. They're the foldable
fabric,
ones.
kind of.
Yeah. So you'll see me with a big, or outside my unit, and it's either it's same thing. It's serrano peppers, or it's a basil, and you'll see me because I take care of that basil because I like making pasta by hand. Well, my wife makes the salsa or the tomato sauce for the pasta, and I make the pasta by hand. And the basil, well, you can't find like fresh basil like at the stores. Well, unless they're like selling it sometimes.
It's like $10 for a few sprigs.
Yeah. So this one, like I get it. And then before I would buy a plant and then grow it. And then last year, we had the seeds. And you know where I got the seeds? I got it from here.
Yeah.
I got it from the library. It was great. And they started popping up. And I finally got the plant. And man, I'm taking care. And I just started learning about how you got to cut it a certain way to make it grow. Because before I would just take the leaves off. And I'm like, why is it dying? I didn't know you had to like, what's it called? Prune it or cut it?
Yeah.
And then it starts sprouting more. I'm like, oh, snap. So that was cool until it died because of the cold. So yeah, stupid cold. But yeah, I would like to see like, I should get involved in that. Like a herb garden with rosemary. Why don't we use rosemary, basil, stuff like that? Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, and some of those herb plants are perennials. So it's great. You can get like a giant rosemary bush, and then it's just like everyone can just take snips of it and stuff like that. And even if you're like in an apartment and stuff, we're our little like fundraiser. It's kind of like a bake sale where we do a plant sale at the farmers market. We weren't able to do it last year, but we're trying to do it this year. So you can start a couple of seeds in a cup, and help us and like donate them to the sale too. Everyone has like limited space and our cats inside. And so like, it's hard to start seeds and stuff like that. But that's another big thing we do. And it's a lot of fun.
All right, sweet. I think we are done. We're at that 59-minute mark. Is there any last words you want to say? So you guys start around May is when people start getting going? Or do you guys start before that?
Yeah, we'll have like the garden will be open. There's a little bit of work to be done before that. But we start now, get on the list, and let us know you're interested. So like we know what we can do for the community as well.
All right, sweet. I'll put everything in the description, and I want to thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.